In terms of his chivalry, the English historian Mill, he narrates that when Al-Quds was captured, when Salah-Uddin he captured Jerusalem, the Crusaders who were who had to flee, they fled, and they went to the nearby city or country of Antioch, and that was also ruled by a fellow Christian, and they went to him, and they thought that okay, that now we've gone to a fellow Christian country, they'll look after us. And what did the ruler of Antioch do? He saw these Crusaders had come, they had just lost the battle of Jerusalem, they come to him asking for help. He robbed them, he took their own money. He was a Christian as well, he robbed them of their money, and he kicked them out, said, get out of here, kicked them out of his country. After he took all their wealth and all that, said, get out. So they started cursing this ruler. These Christians, they're thinking, look at this, we came to him, our fellow Christian brother, he stole our money, we're hungry, we're tired, and he treated us like this. And some of them, they were like starving, they had women, they had children, and their own ruler, he booted them out like that. So what did they do? They returned to Salah-Uddin, and he looked after them, gave them Muslim hospitality, looked after them, attended to their needs, gave them food, whatever they needed. Another Western historian, Stanley Lane Poole, he says that if the taking of Jerusalem were the only fact known about Saladin, they used to call him Saladin, it were enough to prove him the most chivalrous and great-hearted conqueror of his own and perhaps of any age. This is a non-Muslim. This was a disbeliever. This is what he's saying about Salah-Uddin. It's not a Muslim, who saw Salah-Uddin as a hero. This was a disbeliever. He was saying that if that was the only thing that we knew many things about him, but if we just knew that how he took Jerusalem, this was enough. Also, after one of the battles, what happened was that there was one woman, one of the Christian women, she was running through, through the crowds and crying, loudly, screaming and crying. So the Muslims, the soldiers, they went to her, they said, what's the problem? And she said, my young daughter, I've lost my daughter. So Salah-Uddin, the news reached him, and he was very sad, because he saw that her daughter is lost. He didn't say, okay, she's just a Christian, who cares? But he became concerned, and he became very sad at this. So he told his soldiers, go and look for the daughter of this woman. So they went and they searched, and I think they found out that in one of the particular markets or whatever, that his daughter had been sold to some Muslim or something like that. So he went and he paid for he paid the price of that daughter, and so that he was the owner of her, and then he released her free and gave her to her mum, and her mother became happy that she was reunited with her daughter. So these are like these are examples of which are very rare. So you see that on one hand he's the liberator of Jerusalem, he's the man who is striking terror into the hearts of the disbelievers, but at the same time he's the one who has got mercy, who is looking after the Christians when their own rulers, they turn the blind eye to them. Also his arch enemy, Richard the Lionheart of England, the King of England, when he was sick, when he was ill, Salah-Uddin, he sent him fruits and snow, ice. They had snow collected. I don't know how they collected it and transported it, but he sent fruits and ice for Richard the Lionheart, to help him get better. And that is like his enemy. And when the Muslims, they took Jerusalem, when they took Al-Quds, Salah-Uddin, he appointed Muslim soldiers, and the Christians, they were allowed to leave under Muslim guard. They were like Muslim soldiers on either side, that nobody can touch them. Salah-Uddin, he guaranteed them the safe passage, that now you are all free to leave. And the Muslims, they were guarding them on either side, that nobody should touch them, because the ruler has guaranteed their safety. We've taken the city and they should be allowed to leave in peace. Also, we find that Salah-Uddin, he was a very cultured individual, a very refined type of personality. For instance, he had memorized all the Arab lineages. He had memorized all the Arab lineages. You know, like all the Arab family trees, that this family comes from that tribe comes from that tribe comes, all of these tribes he had memorized them, he knew of them. He knew their history, you know, the history of the Arabs. Not only that, but he also knew the lineage of the Arab horses. You know, he could tell you that which are the different types of Arab horses, and which are the different various breeds, and which horse is which type, and what is the strength of each type of horse, and so on and so forth. So you could see that, he was aware of the things around him as well, relating to jihad and relating to the creation of Allah. In terms of, for example, the wonders of the world and the strange things of the world, he liked to, he was interested in those. He liked to know about those type of things as well. And there's no harm in doing that if a person, he does it with the intention of knowing about the creation of Allah and what the various type of things that Allah has created in the dunya to affect his iman. In terms of his attitude towards the worldly life, then he had what they call in Arabic as zuhud. And zuhud, the best translation of zuhud is indifference. Many people, they misunderstand zuhud. They think that zuhud means to be poor and to live in a poor way. That's not the meaning of zuhud. Zuhud means to be indifferent to it. Like Imam Ahmad, he was asked once that if somebody has something like 100,000 dirhams or dinars, can we say that he has got zuhud? If he's so rich, can we still say that he has got zuhud? That he has got indifference to the dunya? And Imam Ahmad said yes, maybe. If that money increases, he doesn't rejoice a lot, and if he loses that money, he doesn't grieve for it. It doesn't affect him. Then we can say that he has got zuhud. So you could be a millionaire, and tomorrow somebody phones you and tells you, okay, your business transaction was successful and you've made another million. And if you are a person of zuhud, you will just say, okay, alhamdulillah, no big deal. And the next day somebody rings you and says, oh, we've had a major failure in all the businesses and you've lost all your millions. Says, okay, alhamdulillah, Allah has decreed that for me, no problem. That is the example of someone who has zuhud. He could be a billionaire, but his attitude is like that. And at the same time, you might have someone who's poor, who might just have, 10, 15 pounds in his pocket, but even if he loses 10 pence of that, he becomes really sad and upset. Oh, I lost 10 pence, And at the same time, if he gets £1 from somewhere, he becomes really happy and rejoices. So it's possible for a rich person to have zuhud and a poor person not to have zuhud. And once, some people in Damascus, they built a beautiful house for Salah-Uddin. Beautiful house. They said, Salah-Uddin, he will live in this house. Beautiful house. So Salah-Uddin, he came, when they came, they said, come and see the house that we've built for you because we want you to live in this house. He came. He just looked quickly at the house. He didn't stare at it for a long time. He just came. He just gave a little glance to it. And then he just said to the people that I will never live in this house. I will never sit in this house. And the people, they were astonished because they had specially built this house for him. They thought he's going to come, he's going to, praise the house. He's going to be happy that he can live in this house. He just took a quick look at it and he said, I don't want to live in this house. And he said, because this type of house is not for the person who is seeking the death. And we are here in the service of Allah. I'm a person who is seeking death, and this type of house, it might affect my desire for death. And I'm here in this dunya as someone who is in the service of Allah. And also one of his famous statements is that he used to say,